Hello and welcome to Soul Steps. I'm David Gallagher. I had just gotten out of a meeting with an attorney in Africa who gave me the bad news that a land purchase that I had entered into 6 years earlier and which still hadn't been completed was now in big trouble. Family members had stepped forward and said they didn't agree to the sale, and in Africa, in Kenya in particular, all the family members have to give their consent for land to be sold or purchased. And 6 years in, some family members stepped up and said, we don't agree to the sale. And I had just been given the news that it was going to cost me about 2.5 times more money than I had originally paid. So on the heels of that, I'm in the grocery store. And when I came out of the grocery store with some groceries, a disabled older man came hobbling up over to me at the car and asked if I could help him. And I did. I gave him some money. And as he hobbled away, it made me think how often in life when we are confronting our own financial needs, and I had just gotten this news that I was about to be out a lot more money 6 years later than I had planned on. And at that moment, a man comes up to me and asks me to give. And everything in me wanted to scream, I can't. I've just gotten news that costs me. And I want to turn inward, and I want to hold on, and I want to draw back, and no more outgo, no more outlay. And yet I felt like God allowed that man to come to me in his need and confront me in my need and challenge me in a really healthy way to give and to keep my hand open, and to not let the shock of my financial news that wanted to cause me to withdraw to not continue being a conduit of blessing to someone else. You know, Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5 talks about if your enemy comes to you and is asking for some money or wanting you to give to him, don't refuse him. And it talks a lot about blessing those who curse you and going the extra mile if your enemy forces you to go one. And Jesus said at the end of all that, give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. And then it gets better in Luke's account of the Sermon on the Mount in chapter 6 of Luke. Luke says in verse 30 and 31, give to everyone who asks you, and, this is great, if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back. But God, it's mine. That person took what's mine. I want it back. It doesn't belong to him or her. That's mine. I want it back. And Jesus is saying, if someone takes what belongs to you, don't demand it back. And then he says in verse 31, do to others as you would have them do to you. In other words, at the point of your own need someday, when you might be forced to go to somebody and ask, you're going to hope and pray that they won't withhold from you. And maybe they've just been met with some dire financial news or an expense they weren't planning on that's going to leave them high and dry. And yet you go to ask and they still look at you and say, I'll be happy to give to you. What little I have, I'll give to you. And you're going to want that free hand of blessing from somebody else in your time of need. So today, I don't know what kind of financial news you've been given. I don't know how empty your bank account seems, but if someone comes to you and asks, don't turn them away. Even if it's a little bit like, I didn't give that man in the parking lot that day much. but I gave him something. And I was tempted to not give. Live with a free hand and an open hand in spite of your own need. Do what Jesus said to do. Give. Even if it hurts, give. Because you can't outgive God. You've heard that. God will continue to bless the man and the woman who continues to give, even in the face of his or her own need. Thanks for watching today. Visit our website, soulsteps.org. Don't forget the PDFs that you can download with heart and thought-provoking questions following on from the topic of this video. Use that for your own personal devotions, or use it in small groups or with your family. Thank you for praying for us at Soul Steps. God bless you.